Yo guys, Gundam update today. Okay, starting off, so New York Comic Con is happening right now, and Bandai/Gundam is having a surprisingly larger than usual presence here this year. Now, as a result, last night they dropped the first trailer for Gundam Hathaway Part 2, Sorcery of the Nymph Circe, which sounds like a pretty base take on the original material of the Tomino novel, especially with the early director's notes that this is sort of be like some kind of like adult erotic date movie. They're also describing the new Chainsaw Man Reze arc movie the same way. Anyway, this one's mostly about the character of Gigi Andalucia and her role in the story. Anyway, if you like the first one, it's probably going to be more of the same, but hopefully better. The animation is still dark and realistic in a way that I really love, contrasted with the semi-depressing CGI mechs. I realize the mechs being CGI is a necessity due to the mechanical complexity of like the Z and Penelope Gundams, but the metallic nature of the Gundams being shiny for the first time makes them look a little bit more CG to me, I guess. It just kind of doesn't match with the 2D animation not being shiny. I guess, long story short, I hope the final movie has better compositing is where I'm at with it. Like, I feel there should be like some more clouds and like smoke to like show that these animation cuts have some depth here. Otherwise, the tone I'm getting seems very sad, like someone's gonna die, which is classic Gundam, especially in the second movie. Anyway, the movie's coming out in Japan in January, which if it follows the trends of like G-Quux's rollout last year, that means that the US will probably get it around March or April, which I'm really excited about. I've been waiting my like entire life to see Hathaway's Flash, and this is the second part of it. All right, so for the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about the NJ Gundam Base and the Unicorn Gundam perfectibility and why that all matters.
この番組はヨランのスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Alright, so hey, welcome back. So yeah, some sort of alliance between New York Comic Con and I guess whatever presence US Bandai currently has presently. A temporary Gundam base New Jersey has been set up in the American Dream Ball, and I went to it. Now, I did kind of want to go to Comic Con this year too and check out the animated adaptation of All You Need Is Kill, but I wasn't able to swing that. And so in lieu of that, I spent a day at the New Jersey Gundam base, and it was a surprisingly fulfilling and cool day that made me really happy. The New Jersey Gundam Base is a limited time pop-up event going on from October 4th to October 19th, and of course I went. I also brought a pair of binoculars to scope out the situation and scope out what was over the fence and look at all the good gunpla before I actually wasted my time waiting in line and going in the store. Anyway, so here's my relative review of what was there and why I went and how good was it. And I'm also going to get into my gunpla philosophy in this video, which is pretty much as the following. I don't like master raid kits because by and large, I think they're too big, they're too expensive, and my main reason I don't like them is I just have this like psychological feeling that like if a toy is too big, it's a kid's toy. And considering I lived in a very small New York City apartment, I have nowhere to put the thing. Also, the fact they're too expensive and usually cost over $100 has always rubbed me the wrong way, especially with modern day tariffs and inflation. Now, because of this reason, I've always preferred the little 144th scale kits. And the second generation of HDUC kits came out when I was a kid, and life was good because they kind of synced up with me watching like all these like old shows. But then the real grade kits came out, and they are friggin' amazing. I think the real grade line is like the finest gunpla that have ever been made because they finally married the detail of the master grade line with the affordable size and shape of the high grade line. Now, as a result, I basically considered two gunpla the holy grails of the real grade line. The Gundam Base Tokyo's real grade Gundam Unicorn Perfectibility, and the Gundam Base Fukuoka's real grade Fukuoka New Gundam. Now, I've done a whole video on the New Gundam already, but I still don't have the real grade kit of it. And then there's technically also a red and green Unicorn Perfectibility for Fukuoka, but I consider this one less canon, and it was made as a second thought for the Gundam Base Fukuoka just to have its own version. And also the red-green color scheme looks kind of ick to me. It just looks like it's the Christmas Gundam. It kind of looks like a worse version of the 7-Eleven Gundam. And now I need to really try my hardest not to mentally think about how good the 7-Eleven Gundam looks and how many strange 7-Eleven Gunpla variants have popped up exclusively in Japan in the past 20 years. All right, anyway, so bringing it back around, if you're lost at this point, let me talk about the Unicorn Perfectibility. The Unicorn Perfectibility is a simple kit bash. It started out as a kit bash. It's the Gundam Unicorn mashed together with the later Gundam Phoenix from Gundam Narrative, and anyway, canonically, there are listed to be three Gundam Unicorn units. The original Unicorn with the red Psycho Frame, the Banshee unit with the gold Psycho Frame, the special backpack and the hand claw, and the Phoenix, which has a blue Psycho Frame and a larger shield backpack. And essentially, the Perfectibility is the Unicorn, the original one, with the Phoenix's Psycho Frame, the Phoenix's backpack, the Banshee's special gun, and also the Banshee's backpack mixed together with the Phoenix's backpack, and somehow it's using both backpacks at the same time. So once again, it's the sum of what you get if you put all the special parts from each of these Unicorn Gundams into the same Gundam. So besides that, the Unicorn Gundam Perfectibility somehow became semi-canon, unlike the rest of these Gundams, as it was fully animated and fully presented in universe as a Gundam Unicorn MSV. In Gundam Unicorn MSV, it has a different name. It's Full Armor Unicorn Plan B. The special promotional animation that was made for it showed it in the Blu-ray release of Gundam Unicorn, showing basically an alternate cut of the last episode, alternate ending to Gundam Unicorn, where Bandager got this Unicorn Gundam instead of the Full Armor Unicorn in the final episode. And because it was just a what if he got this instead of this, it was mostly recycled animation, with Bandager using the Full Armor Perfectibility, and they really changed nothing, but hey, it was cool to see this different Gundam in the spot. So yeah, the real grade Unicorn Perfectibility has kind of become the white whale of gunpla collecting for me over the years, being basically described as one of the best gunpla experiences you can get, but of course it's one of the hardest and rarest kits to find and buy. And buying it has been an absolute nightmare for me because of all the hurdles I've gone through to get one. I want to say I've been seeking this kit for almost 10 years. They never have it at any anime cons. And before I get into how good the Gundam Base New Jersey this year was, I need to talk about the one they did last year, which was a disaster. The last time Bandai tried to do a mobile gunpla base in my state last year was a very quaint attempt, I suppose, is one way I could put it. They stopped their trailer at a parking lot in the middle of nowhere. They told me ahead of time they would at least have the real grade Fukuoka, which is why I drove like 3 hours to the event. And despite me arriving there 2 hours early, there was already like a line wrapped around the block. And when I finally got inside, they had absolutely nothing because they sold out their entire stock in the first 2 hours while I was just waiting in line. I want to say they had like a Cat Kira Yamato and like a very expensive $200 Slayer Mercury statue. I think the experience was so bad that I never blogged about before, and the only redeeming moments were that I got to play an early demo of Gundam Silver Phantom, which I completely regret playing because it made me second guess buying the full version, which actually had all the bugs fixed and was a good experience. Anyway, it was a pretty lame Gundam base. I saw a variety of cool cosplayers there, I guess. That was the silver lining. I ate a pizza and I went to the ocean, and that was a day. Now, more recently, I decided that fuck it, I was just going to go to Diver City and buy the Unicorn Perfectibility in its native environment of Tokyo. Unfortunately, that plan of mine went completely ass up and failed spectacularly. If you're caught up to date on my channel drama, I went to Diver City's Gundam base and I got immediately thrown out by the bouncer due to the fact Japan is using some crazy lottery system to dictate who can and can't enter the store and when the store will be empty even when it's open. And apparently you can only buy one thing when you get into the store because of scalpers. And I was just going to go in and buy the Unicorn Perfectibility as my one thing, but I didn't get inside. I did a whole video after the fact about what happened. It went super viral, and the only thing I need to add after the fact is a lot of people ask me, well, MB, why didn't you go back later? Why are you so mad about this? Okay, once again, I don't know how you missed this, but I'm mad because I spent $2,000 to fly to Japan, and I am not certain if I can or will ever have enough money to fly back to Japan ever again. And the Gundam Base Odaiba was literally the first place I went. I only had 3 hours to be in Odaiba. I could never go back to Odaiba, and literally in those 3 hours, the Gundam Base sat completely empty because of the bouncer at the front door just not letting anyone inside, and it set a completely negative tone for the entire Japan trip and everything bad that happened after the fact. So literally, I had no chance of getting inside as far as I know, unless I had pre-registered tickets months in advance, or I tried to go to one of the other Gundam bases, which are semi-sketchy because there are also pop-ups like the one I went to in New Jersey. Apparently, there's a pop-up in Osaka that looks exactly like the one in New Jersey, but I can't confirm how long that will or won't exist. But anyway, according to people who got into the base after me, they were mostly out of stock anyway, so maybe I can contemplate after the fact that the base was closed because they already sold all their merchandise and they had nothing to sell. And maybe that was the case, but again, I have no idea what actually was going on. Maybe they did or didn't have anything to sell, but still the way the bouncer treated me hurt my soul, and I hated that. Anyway, onto the Gundam Base New Jersey, which actually was a good experience. So first day, the New Jersey base opens, and I want to say I got there 3 hours early. I arrived at 9 a.m. for a store that opens at 11 a.m., and by my good fortune, I was the 10th person in line. And using my super cool binoculars, I happened to scope out immediately with the binoculars that they had the real grade Perfectibility shoved in a corner next to a clear coat real grade Zeong and a high new Gundam, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wait in line for 3 hours to get the Unicorn Perfectibility and end the 10 years of madness I've been through. If they had had the Perfectibility or the Fukuoka New, I would have just said fuck it at the point and left them all immediately. And for the record, they had no Fukuoka New Gundam at this time of any sort. They had a bunch of cool, interesting stuff anyway, so I endured the line. Now, the one thing that mega sucked is even though I was the 10th person in line, even though I waited 3 hours in line, I majestically somehow became the 50th person in line over the course of me waiting, mostly due to multiple people's families showing up after the fact at the last minute and buying in line to join them. They were also strictly limiting access into the store based on the population at a given moment. And there being a series of people who had these Eventbrite tickets that allowed them to skip the line. There weren't too many of these people, but it did seem like ultimately they were doing a system where the Eventbrite people were being automatically led to the store every hour, and the non-Eventbrite people were coming into the store whenever the store had room, or mostly on the half hours. And one thing that kind of threw me off was there was a huge showing by the Gundam card player fan base. At least on the first day, much to my surprise, I want to say it was a ratio of like 60% hardcore Gundam card game players buying Gundam cards versus like 30% Gunpla fans and 20% fans of both. Like, I was barely aware that the Gundam card game was a thing, and I had no idea it had gotten this popular already. Like, I knew a lot of people were memeing the pregnant Char card, and that was a joke, but I knew Pokemon cards had a big resurgence lately, but I had no idea the Gundam card game was this popular, so that was really surprising for me. Also, the way the Gundam base was set up was kind of bad because they had a Gundam card shop and a Gunpla shop, and the way it was set up was you had to go through the Gunpla shop to reach the Gundam card shop, and quite frankly, I didn't know how this worked, and I didn't know that so many people were there just to buy Gundam cards. Retroactively, if I knew this was the case, and if I was somehow running the place, I would have probably said you probably should have made the Gunpla shop and the Gundam card shop two separate shops. Because if all the people shopping for Gundam cards were removed, then I probably would have been the first person in line for the Gunpla shop. And then as it was, I waited in line to get into the Gundam card shop for another 10 minutes, only because that's where the cash registers were, before I realized after the fact that there was an entirely separate empty line to skip over the Gundam card shop and just check out with my Gunpla. Okay, so anyway, what was super good about the Gundam Base New Jersey after that? Okay, so the main exclusives that they were pushing to the media and the press were these cool eco-plas of the Gundam Base RX-78-2 in all blue, but not exactly G3 colors, and these eco-pla black and green, black and pink reprints of older models, mostly Wing Zero and the Astray series. They were kind of cool, I guess. They could be really cool if you painted them, maybe. They also had the entire G-Quux model kit line there, including the Nyan and Machu figures, which were tempting, but overall too much money for me. I did see some hilarious kid guilt trip their dad into buying the G-Quux Dom because apparently he was a Dom collector, which is a pretty big kit because of the whole triple leg gimmick, and maybe there's actually two of them in the box. All right, anyway, so I immediately got my Perfectability, and my friend Mike got the Astray Red Dragon kit, and I saw some other things on the day that looked cool to me. Like, I saw there was a Fukuoka Perfectability high grade, but I'm not into that one because it has these like kind of nasty 7-Eleven colors. Also, I guess this is technically the non-canon version. One of the coolest kits I didn't get, but really surprised me in terms of what the fuck is that? What is this? Why is it here? Was a reprint of the 1993 Devil Gundam kit from the G Gundam TV show in a clear color reprint. Okay, like how the hell does this exist? I did know that this is kind of funky because the Devil Gundam kit has been infamously out of print since 1997, because I have like dramatic memories of when G Gundam aired on Toonami in like 2002 and the kit was already long gone. But seeing it now just kind of like was a mind blower for me. I didn't buy it because I was broke, but I'm kind of surprised they would reprint a kit that old. I guess just due to demand, like rather than just make a new high grade Devil Gundam, which is honestly what I would have preferred, but still very surprising seeing it there. Okay, that's everything basically I have to say about the Gundam base, but besides that, even if you don't have money, you should still go visit this because there are a slew of free activities that are also worth doing where they give you free Gundam shit. And it seems like for the free activities, you kind of have to be at the mall at 11 a.m. where they give out the free tickets to do everything. There's a free Gundam card game tutorial. I didn't get a ticket to that because they were sold out already with all the hardcore Gundam card players, but apparently they give you a promo card. I didn't do this, but I kind of wish I did because the promo card looked kind of cool. I want to say it was a promo card of the Gundam base itself. I did do the Gundam painting tutorial, which was a whole thing where they give you a paint set and like these mini models, and they let you speed build the mini models and then paint a Zaku kit that supposedly is supposed to come with the Gundam card game. Okay, I have to really point out that like this was a humbling experience for me because I've painted my Gunpla models like a bunch of times in the past, but the paint kit they gave me for this tutorial was so amazing and so humbling that I super want to buy this paint set and use it to detail up my Perfectability. I have never had like such a perfect Gundam paint set laid out for me in front of me in my life before. Like it was a premium experience. Like I felt like I was a fucking caveman sitting down at a 5-star restaurant for the first time in my life after living my entire life eating worms in a cave. Like they gave me a paint sponge. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a paint sponge. I didn't know if that was an option. And lastly, like there was a Gunpla assembly event where they give you a free first grade RX-78-2. That was all right. I did that at the last Gundam base, and at this Gundam base, it was already sold out because there were so many people in the mall. Anyway, yeah, if you guys have time, you should check this out. Word of warning, though, if you're going to the Dream Mall and you've never been there before, it costs $5 to park in the building, although technically you can maybe avoid this if you park at the Meadowlands Stadium across the street on a day they're offering free parking. And then once you get inside, it's mostly very expensive Asian food to get in the mall, which is great if you like Asian food, but if you don't, you should probably eat outside ahead of time or bring a picnic lunch. Otherwise, the average food item in the mall is like $20 and $10 for a drink. Although the $10 drinks are like really, really good bubble tea. So anyway, yeah, I had a great time going to this, and I finally got my stupid Gundam Unicorn perfectibility. And that's the end of that. I can finally sleep well at night. All right, good night, everybody. That ends my Gundam Base saga. Oh, wait, I still don't have the real grade Fukuoka New Gundam. Ugh.